I know it's late. Technically, it's about to be Tuesday. Uh, so let's count it off. This is Tuesday. I believe this will make it the 4th of August. Soon in about another what 30 minutes. I'm gonna tell you all a story about what took place in 2002. And before I get really deep into this, this is for the intended purpose of education, edutainment. And if you all will be so kind, please subscribe to this channel. Not because I want any money from you guys, though I do have my own products. I'm an airbrush artist by trade. I'm not selling any products. I'm sharing my story, my testimony. And if you can take a little time out to watch this video, I hope that you learned something from it. I want to take you all back to June 1st, 2001. I had made the decision to do something that I hate that I did. And this is the reason why when you finish listening to the story. At this time, I was dating a young woman by the name of Angela, who is still dear to my heart for the love that she gave me. They always say there's three women in your life that will always be in your life outside of your mom, and she's one of them. Um, I met a lady who used to do readings, and I remember her telling me, this one woman that you're going to meet, she's going to have a very important part of your life. She is really, this is the one that's going to really change you. I didn't know that it was going to be her. I thought it was going to be somebody else. But I met her and we dated off and on for 2 years. Broke up early, around late 2001. I'm heartbroken because deeply I was in love with this girl. I'm not going to lie about it. But I had just moved into my apartment on the east side of Chicago. Anybody back then, we're talking about 97 to about 2004 was like the prime time. You're in your 20s, you working, you making money, you got some things going on. And if you were like me, you was in that gym, you was working out, and you was in good shape. Well, I met a young lady by the name of Angela, fell in love with her. We broke up. I was a little heartbroken. But came 2001, this is before we broke up. This was like 6 days for my birthday. 8 days before my birthday, excuse me. I decided I was gonna cut all my hair off. My hair used to be down to here, but I was having some time, hell of a time trying to keep it up. Yeah, I used to have long hair, and I miss my hair. So I decided on June 1st, 2001, at 4 o'clock p.m., I decided to have my hair cut. I cut all my hair off, and they were done cutting my hair at approximately 4:20 p.m. This was on a Friday. If I'm not mistaken, it was on Friday. So I remember my girl, she stopped by the shop and she actually saw me with all of my hair gone. So she met me where I had long hair. So now she's seeing me with with short hair, and I got to get back to whatever. I hate short hair. I hated it. I hated it, but I cut it. During that entire summer, I'm just getting back to having short hair, and Angie was always meticulous about how I dress. We always go out to the movies. We were always going. Mondays was our day. We go to the movies. We hang out. I was just in love with this girl. Okay, I had a big girl too. But she was beautiful. But not having this hair, something kept hitting me in the back of my head. I got a bad feeling about this. 6 months later, it's wintertime in Chicago. one of the mildest winters we've ever had in 2002. In 2002, the weather was so mild. We barely got any snow. If we got any snow at all, it was very faint. It didn't stick to the ground. The weather was so different because we just had solar flares that hit around that time, and it hit so hard that the weather was a little bit trippy. That if anybody lived in Indiana, Wisconsin, or anywhere by the Great Lakes, they know that the geese during that time, they traveled south for the winter. None of the geese left. So there was a problem with the geese in these areas because they did not leave to go down south for the winter. It was very warm. We're talking 40-degree days. Stayed high 30s, low 40s. That's not snow weather. It had very mild days, and some days it was 50 degrees. So we didn't have a heavy winter, which at that time, Chicago just started raising the gas prices. So we got a little break because we really didn't have to use the gas the way because it was warm. I decided to go to truck driving school. Follow me, all this is going to make sense. Now, I was in truck driving school early January. Guaranteed job when I get out, as long as I pass everything. They already had you set up. Now, I think the truck driving school was a little bit of a ripoff, but people did get jobs. I stayed there for 3.5 weeks. I was there from late January up until February 14th, 15th to be exact, Valentine's week. I started rekindling my relationship with Angie. Now, I'm not going to lie. Rekindling my relationship with Angie did help make things a lot easier to deal with out here in Indianapolis, Indiana. But I passed my test, and immediately after I got my truck driver's license and everything, I made my way home. So they give you a Greyhound ticket back home. I had a 1982 Buick Park Avenue. That's old school. My mechanic, childhood neighbor, Mr. Parker, rest in peace, just fixed my car before I left. I had an incident, so he fixed it. I came home, changed, couldn't wait to see this girl, couldn't wait to see her. I wanted to see her. I was missing her. She was missing me. We still loved each other, etc. So I got dressed, got cleaned up, had a little beard this time because I was looking like a lumberjack. But I got to her house and I shaved my beard, looked normal. At this time, my roommate was an old Navy SEAL guy. So he got me into training and everything, got me like, I'm built. But I got an exercise program, Navy SEAL training program, because I did apply for the Marines, part of training in the background. So because I had flat feet, I couldn't be a Marine. But hoorah to all my Marines. And I got home, enjoyed being with my girlfriend. We done rekindled our relationship. I'm happy. And I go see my mom and dad. Now, at this time, my mom and dad was looking for a house. So they moved into my grandma's house because she had a big old house until they get into place. And that's when my mama threw it on me. Your daddy got cancer. Now, he wasn't going to the hospital a couple of times because when I was 4 years old, my dad got shot. He was a police officer. He got shot. He was doing security work at a place called Funtown. Those who from Chicago, if you old school, you know about Funtown. That was the Black Great America, the Great America of the South Side of Chicago. My father got shot, so for the rest of his life, his left arm was like this because the joints got shattered. And for the rest of his life, that's how his arm was. But that ain't stopped him from kicking somebody's ass. Anyway, my father was 6'2", 230 pounds. Played football back in the 70s. Brothers was big. Okay, my father could fight. My father was one of them dudes. Okay, he's dealing with an issue based upon him seeing some of these old pellets that he got shot by when I was 4 years old. We're talking 1976, 1977. And he's recovering. And that was a hard time for my mom and dad. But now these pellets from that shooting is now coming out of his back. And everybody's freaking out. Then they did some more tests, and they come to find out that my dad had cancer, esophageal cancer, similar to what I had. So now I'm trying to just fathom all this in. I just rekindled my relationship with my girlfriend again. I just came home. I'm back at work. I'm a tattooist. I'm an airbrush artist. I'm working my butt off. That's another story for another day. But I just got an opportunity to drive trucks. I just got my relationship back with my now rekindled girlfriend, and now I find out my father got cancer. And he's making arrangements to go take chemotherapy. Knew nothing about it. Went in, took him to his treatment, and they put a tube in his arm. I didn't know if they was just taking blood out or they was giving him an IV. I didn't know nothing. About 30 minutes later, we can go. Are they gonna do? Yeah, they did. That's what that was. I'm like, oh, that's it? Yeah. Not knowing anything. I watched my father go from 230 pounds. Within 3 months, my father went down to 150 pounds. I watched my father, who had extremely big hands and big arms, get reduced to skin and bones. Treatment didn't do a damn thing except make him sicker, lose his hair. And I watched my father's face change. Where you can see, if you can see the lines in my head, in my face, multiply that. I immediately started going to the store because I wanted to help my father. I wanted to understand what this was going on in my father's body. Now, I've been a Muslim since I was 15 years old, took my Shahada at 19. And I've always followed the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's book, How to Eat to Live. Excellent book. I also had the opportunity to meet a man that I actually re-met back in 2014, but I met him in the early 90s, Mr. Alfredo Bowman, Dr. Sebi. He had an office here. And one of my bros used to always go back and forth with him about dietary plans and everything. So I met Dr. Sebi in the 90s, 91 to be exact. And one of my brothers named Yaya studied under him. And so I got introduced to vegetarian lifestyles and everything. But when I found out about my father having cancer, I immediately started looking at what are the things that can help kill cancer, this and that, and this and that. And I'm going to explain that to you all later on. Hopefully I don't get flagged. My father for 2 months went through chemotherapy. And I watched my father go from a strong-willed guy that was working at the post office, and he was less than 5 years away from retirement, to a person that everybody in his job that loved him offered up some of their time off so that he can get some time to heal. And I will appreciate the Ravenswood post office here in Chicago and the people that he worked with for doing that. But my father didn't get better. And my family, like my grandmother, my grandfather, and other loved ones on my father's side of the family, they didn't know how to deal with this other than doing chemo. I've not known a person in my family that ever took chemo that survived cancer. So I said, I want to find out what it is that I could use to help my father out. And lo and behold, I found 4 things that when I gave it to my father, in 1 week, his strength came back. His voice got stronger. And he gained 10 of the pounds that he lost within a week. 1 week. When I saw that, as I was told, get your father off the cigarettes. Get your father off any meat. He should be eating certain vegetables. He should not be eating meat at all. He should be eating vegetables. He shouldn't be eating anything with sugar in it. He needs to clean and detox that body. I remember as clear as day. And the herbs that I gave him was doing exactly what it was supposed to do. Get into the areas where the cancer is affecting the body, get rid of the parasites, clean the body, clean the blood, and officially get that stuff out of his system so his body can actually get some oxygen in the areas where the cancer resided. 1 week. 1 week. I watched my father gain 10 pounds. And once my father started feeling better, that's when everything went downhill. How did he go downhill? The same way thousands of people, when they go through treatments and they start feeling good, they do this one mistake. And that mistake is you go back to the same thing that got you sick in the first place. Eating the food that unfortunately got you sick in the first place. Instead of eating the foods that counterattack the problem, you go back to the foods that feed the problem. And my father was doing chemo. I really wanted my father off this chemo because once I saw the 4 ingredients that I gave my father, the first thing that I noticed was that his weight came back, his skin was looking normal again, he felt better. And my family made the biggest mistake that took my father out. I don't blame my family, but I want you all to hear me if you ever watch this video. My cousin, as I'm explaining this to everybody in this room, he cannot do this, he cannot do this, he cannot do this. One thing that I realized about the Black American family, they are so caught up in an image called a doctor, but they're so reluctant to get into a book and do the research themselves. Because the doctors, though I still agree, you gotta go get checked out. The doctors don't know everything. They practice, and they practice on you. Most doctors do not study blood type. I'm going to go into that before I end this. Doctors do not study your blood type. Doctors do not study the difference between quote unquote Black American men. That's a train in the background. I stay by a train, so you might hear the train in the background, so forgive me. Doctors do not study blood types. They do not study the difference between a Caucasian blood type and a Black blood type. An Asian blood type, a blood type from the Caribbean, an actual native, real Native American blood type, and those who are East Native blood types. They do not study blood types. Because if they did, then they would know that certain blood types are very delicate when it comes to medicines, when it comes to drugs, when it comes to certain foods, because the blood has to go through a circular system every 45 minutes in the human body. And when that does not happen effectively, the heart has to work harder to get the blood to flow through the body. So if you're eating things that create issues with your blood flow being clogged because of sugar, dairy, and other things that are not healthy for your blood type, you're going to have high blood pressure. You're going to have high cholesterol. You're going to get tired when you're not supposed to get tired. And if you're eating certain foods such as soul food, which my family is addicted to, you're going to have problems down the line. And that's what happened to my father. So my family member is saying, well, we don't know how long he's going to be here, so let him enjoy the time he got. I wanted to smack fire out of his ass like Ghostface album, like a Ghostface album from Wu-Tang Clan. You're telling me to just let my father die. Families divide because of family and how they feel about people. Go to a funeral. If your family member has a policy, insurance, an inheritance, you want to see some evil, go to see family was left over, and you will see so much evil in that room. Less than 30 days, my father's situation got worse. I'm telling my family, give this man this stuff, stop feeding this stuff. Nobody want to listen. Black American family, hardest heads on the planet. I watched my father dwindle. Now he's at 140 pounds. Keep that number. Go to the hospital again. Me, my mama, my sisters. And the last thing that I remember my father saying to me, because at this point, they just let him die. My father looked at me. I'm going to be all right. My father never left the bed after that. I watched my father dwindle. I watched people show how evil they could be. I watched how ignorant people were. I saw my family in a whole different perspective after that. June 1st, 2002. I'm at my store. I'm airbrushing. There is this gloom on my whole aura. You don't know what's going on. My mother goes to the hospital. Doesn't say anything. I go to the shop. I'm painting. I'm not feeling good. I painted this picture of this guy for this girl because I paint portraits. I'm good. That's why I'm known for portraits. I still have that picture to this day. At 4:20 p.m., I finished that picture. And I sat and I looked at that picture for about 30 minutes. I couldn't get up. After 30 minutes, my mom called, said, come on to the house. I come to the house, and she tells me he's gone. I'm angry at everybody. I didn't even get a chance to say goodbye to my father. I go to the hospital. I see my father in that bed. And to see the man that is responsible for you being here, literally literally 6 days before he turned 53, he died in the hospital. And my mother didn't even give me a chance to go say goodbye to him before he left. That was the hardest pain that any man could ever accept. And by the way, my dad's birthday is 2 days before mine. So at 30 years old, I buried my father. His funeral was on his birthday, June 7th. Same day as Prince. I buried him on the 8th. I turned 30 the next day. So for my 30th birthday, I didn't get to celebrate my birthday with my father. I didn't celebrate turning 30. 30 years old with my father. I spent my 30th birthday with the woman who to this day still has a part of my heart, though she's no longer here. And I sat in that house. I sat in my house. We buried my father. I did a traditional Egyptian style ceremony honoring my father because he was a Mason and they would not give him the Masonic rites. So I said, I don't care who you are, I'm going to honor my father. And I had my lodge participate, and I dared anybody to interfere. That would have been a nasty day. Okay, I got 2 trains passing through. Give it a second. On June 8th, 2002, I honored my father. I buried my father. And I remember one of my bros bought a dove because my dad's nickname was Big Bird. And I remember doing the ceremony for my father. And I remember taking the dove and I threw him in the air. And that dove circled and landed by my mother's feet and did not leave. When they brought the coffin down into the ground, my brothers lifted up their swords. I lifted up my hand. That dove flew up, circled, and landed by me. That was my confirmation. My dad was there. That bird did not leave me for 24 hours. I took that bird home. It followed me. I took that bird home. When I woke up the next day, I turned 30 years old. That bird was sitting in the window looking at me until I woke up. When I woke up, I looked at that bird looked at me and flew off. That bird had a tracker on his leg. They have birds like that, doves like that for ceremonies, weddings, and they always go back. That bird stayed with me. What I remember the most about that was your ancestors are always with you. This was 2002. 12 years later, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. But unlike what happened to my father, once again, I got to meet the late, great Dr. Sebi again. This time he did a lecture at my old high school. And he gave me the best advice. And at that same time, I met my elder, Chris Williams. For 30 days, I became a student of what I needed to do to attack cancer and beat it and go through the process and understand what this is and what this isn't. No matter how much you apply to killing cancer out of your system, you have to create the environment that's going to defeat it first. And if you are around people that follow a destructive lifestyle, an uncultured lifestyle, a lifestyle that is based upon seeing somebody else, see somebody else, and follow somebody else, and follow somebody else, and so on and so on and so on, there will never be any growth. There will never be any accomplishments or achievements in reducing this problem. You need a power team. If I knew what I know now about killing cancer within 120 days, my father would be celebrating 75 years on this planet. 76, to be exact. Here's the first thing that I suggest anybody to do. If you are diagnosed with cancer, anything in your house that is not for the use of killing this shit, get rid of it. That also includes the people that's in that environment. Everything right now is changed. Everything that you put into your body is for the sole purpose of war. 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 Acronym. Working at reversing. This is what you're doing. Every food must be seeded. It must be consistent of the color chart from the lowest to the highest. In between the 7 color chakra charts, you have the red and you have the purple. The purple is the highest, the red is the lowest. The red is your acidics from 0.1 to a 6.0. That's your acidics. It goes from an orange to a yellow. You want to avoid that chart. You want to stick with the green, your blues, and your purples. Those are your high pH, cancer killing ratio foods. And all of those foods have something in common. They don't have sugar, they don't have dairy, they don't have meat. So that's the first thing you're eliminating. Second thing that you are eliminating is anything that feeds off of anything that is not healthy. Parasites, free radicals. How do you get rid of them? You go through a blood detox. Now, I'm not saying anything that you can't look up. I'm not suggesting anything that you may need to get. I am only advising you. Sometimes I got a little cat that passes through here. Be in my garbage. Anyway. Anything that is acidic is on a scale of a 6.0 to a 1.0. It goes from a yellow, orange, and then red. Those are your acidic foods. Mostly everything that you go to the gas station and go and get. That's why so many truckers die of high cholesterol, heart attacks, cancer. You want to start eating things like fresh watermelon, papaya seeds, they kill parasites, pumpkin seeds, paralyzes parasites, sunflower seeds, helps with your blood, dandelion, helps with your blood. You want to take things that you can get at the store right now. Pineapples, watermelon, those are your cancer killing teams. Your pineapples help get rid of all that bulk that's in your gut because it actually eats it up, it absorbs it, and it allows you to eliminate it easier. Okay? You need to eat more cilantro, celery, real cabbage, real lettuce, the green team. You notice the green team, green, blue, purple. I think I mentioned blue. I think I mentioned green. Green, blue, purple are your cancer killing colors. Green, blue, purple. Let's talk about what's green. All of your vegetables. All of your vegetables. Your green team. Blue. Anything that you notice blue, cancer killing. Those are your 8.0s and 9.0s. Then you get to the 10.0s. All your purples. What's purple? Squash, grapes, grapes. You ever seen that guy on Facebook? Grapes, grapes, seeded grapes. Cherries. Although cherries are red, they also are very dark, dark, dark. But that's very good for cancer. It's very good for the blood. Clean the blood. If I knew this when I gave my father what I gave him to help him gain his 10 pounds back, understood why it worked, he will still be alive today. Once you clean the blood, you kill the problem. We start there. Find out your blood type. Black Americans, indigenous Black Americans, Black Americans who have African descendancy. We all got African in, so stop playing with yourselves. There's a distinguished type of blood type that is indigenous to the United States. That blood type is O. The oldest group of Native Americans blood type was O. That is the oldest blood type in the United States. It is the universal blood. Study the power of your blood. If you are an A, you have indigenous ancestry in you as well, because that's also a part of not only this side, but also African. If you have an AB, you have Nigerian, Ghana, which actually is those from here that went back over there. The blood is very important for you to study. For those who are old like myself, if you don't eat beef, lamb is good. Doesn't mean you eat it all the time. I eat lamb every 3 weeks. I'm more of a chicken person, but I'm very cautious of my chicken. I clean my chicken thoroughly. I don't eat it all the time. I do a lot of vegetarian foods. I change up. You have to give your body a certain type of training in what you eat. The best way to eat if you have cancer is like this. It's the 1, 2, 3 step. First day, either your lightest meal or your heaviest meal. Your second day will always be your medium meal. Your third day, either your light or your heaviest meal. Your fourth day, you fast, nothing but liquids, water. That's it. You're giving your body a chance to flush. And then repeat the cycle. Every 2 days, twice a week, you should fast. And get it to the point where you can actually do a hard, or what they call a dry fast. No food, no water. Once you start disciplining your body like that, you kill a lot of you kill a lot of issues in your body that will allow your body to reset itself. Fasting resets the stem cells in your body. This is why those who have had diabetes, when they start fasting more and they start reducing their eating habits, although they have to take insulin, the body also reanimates the body parts. And I'm saying that for lack of a better word, that creates the insulin that the body naturally does. This is why it's so important to start slow and work your way up. I didn't start like this. I was doing fasting since I was 15 years old. When I became a Muslim, first time I did Ramadan, I lost 20 pounds. They thought I was on crack. I was doing it wrong. But I learned as I go. As I went through my treatment with my elder, Chris Williams, he explained to me, my second time being in the hospital, that it's important that I eat 3 times a day. And I said, sir, I eat once a day. And he said, you can take that one meal and break it into 3 quadrants so that you can take your herbs. Because you want every 3 to 4 hours to give your body something that listen to what I'm about to say, because I don't want to start talking fast. You want to eat nutritious meals along with your herbal supplements every 3 to 4 hours, so that within every 45 minutes, the body is breaking down the foods that you have given it, and it goes to the areas that is needing it the most. And during that time period, as the blood begins to dissolve the substances that you have taken in, it becomes energy for the cells that have been depleted of the minerals that it has not had in a long time. And it begins to, through electrical impulses, connect to the body, letting it know, I have received what I need. If it needs to be transferred, it can be transferred. What other areas are in need of this? So now your liver and your kidneys are working the way that they're supposed to, filtering out all of the good and crap that was in your body so that you can go to the washroom and getting and actually feeding your cells through your bloodstream, so that the radicals are now being hit with oxygenated substances on a higher pH level. Now that you're eating according to your blood type, and you're also eating the foods that have the highest pH ratio to kill radical cells, so that every 2 weeks, when those radical cells start to form, they got so much nutrients in it that it has no choice but to get in order or die off. Every 2 weeks, your body goes through a change because the old cells are now rebuilding new cells all the way up into the 28th and 33rd day, so that you have a complete new recreated cell. The cancer or radical cells does that same thing in less than 2 weeks. So you got 2 weeks to start getting your body in order. Every 2 weeks, as this radical cell redevelops itself, it's redeveloping itself in a much weaker state. 2 weeks after, a weaker version. 2 weeks after, a weaker version. 2 weeks after, a weaker version. And after 8 sessions, the radical cell is so weak that it dies off so quick, because all radical cells die quickly when the body has what it needs, because you have an immune system, so your body is already defending it. But when the body gets weak, the radical cells begin to dominate. It has a job to do. In a certain amount of time, it has to aggressively dominate that area and recreate itself again, over and over and over again. And with a colony of radical cells, when they come together, they form what is called a tumor. A colony of radical cells is a tumor. Do you understand? That is a whole entire environment. And now you have to feed your body so that that environment can start dying off. And what does this do? When that radical cell or that colony realizes, hey, we're being attacked, it goes through its defense. When it begins to retire or retreat, it has to find another area that's weak. So you may hear people say, well, the growth, the numbers are going down here, but it's slowly picking up here. That's because the cancer is moving. Now it has to find another place because it's dying. When you hear that, that means that the body is beginning to get itself back. That's when you want to start hitting the body with better nutrients, more and more and more, fast a couple of times. Make sure that you're feeding everything that the body needs in order to kill the radical cell. What are radical cell killers? I just gave you all the chart. Watermelon, papaya seeds, pumpkin seeds. There's another one, but I cannot say it online because they will flag me. But you can go get soursop, because that actually re-energizes the cells. And that is the substance that is on TikTok I had over 8 million views about my cancer story and how soursop, pardon the glitches, helped. If you are still online, Tony Duffy 9027, I want to thank you for watching. I can be reached at 773-551-2904. Subscribe to the channel, bro, and watch these videos. I got a lot of them. I got about 10 I haven't put up yet. But I got a lot on there that you can just learn basic stuff. All right? If I knew this stuff then, my dad would still be alive today. And I stand by that. I appreciate you all watching. If you ever get a chance to watch this video, if somebody can be inspired by this video, share it. Till next time. 773-551-2904. Now, I do have my own products. It's called Ammo Packs and Power Water. Power Water is something that I put together. It's a replacement for chemotherapy. This is based upon my studies with my elder, Chris Williams. And I became a student, and I started working on myself. And I created what's called the Ammo Pack. The Ammo Pack was made because when you're fighting cancer, you need your ammunition. So my ammo pack is 15 different herbs based upon the person and their blood type that I created to help them feed the body what it's not had in such a long time. It's a simple way of using it. It's not going to kill your pockets. $35 per shipping and handling. Pardon the train. I have a package deal. It's $85 to $120. I also have packages where I counsel. Pardon the train. My consultations are $45 an hour. All you need is one session. Most of the time, I tell everybody, if you can do this for 21 days, a large majority of your problems will kind of start going away. Very simple. You ain't paying hundreds of thousands of dollars like I did for my cancer surgery, being hospitalized 3 times. But you're actually learning how to go through this process and actually being able to use this as an investment for your family. I think I said enough. All right, gotta get back to work. I gotta do a sketch. I'm gonna be up for a little bit, so the grind is real. I appreciate y'all watching. Y'all be safe. Till next time, peace.